The soft glow of the monitor painted my face in shades of blue and green. I was lost in the intricate world of ethereal kingdoms, a place where I could be Shadowbane, a powerful warrior, a respected leader. Sarah, my wife, often teased me about my obsession with the game, a gentle ribbing that usually ended with a shared laugh. "Still slaying dragons, honey?" she'd ask, a playful glint in her eyes. Tonight, though, she was out with her friends, a girls' night, she called it. I didn't mind. It gave me some quiet time to delve into my virtual world. I appreciated these moments of solitude, a chance to unwind and escape the everyday. Little did I know my escape would soon become a prison. A small notification popped up in the corner of my screen, breaking my concentration. It was a message in our guild's chat. "Shadowbane," it read, "I could really use your help. I'm stuck on this quest, and you're the only one who can probably get me through it." The message was from Lyra, a skilled archer in our party. She was a good player, always reliable in raids and dungeons. I'd interacted with her a few times, mostly about game strategy and resource management. "Sure, Lyra, no problem," I typed back. "Where are you?" She told me she was in the Whispering Woods, a notoriously difficult area. I quickly teleported my character to her location. As we ventured deeper into the virtual forest, battling monstrous spiders and cunning goblins, Lyra started to open up. She began confiding in me, telling me about her life outside the game, her job, her hobbies, and her troubled relationship with her husband. The Whispering Woods, with its ethereal glow and rustling digital leaves, became a backdrop for something more than just a game. As Lyra and I fought our way through the quest, her words echoed in my mind. She spoke of feeling neglected, of a husband who was distant and preoccupied. She described her loneliness, her yearning for connection. I listened, offering words of encouragement and support. It felt strange, offering relationship advice to someone I only knew through a screen, someone who existed only as a collection of pixels and code. Yet her vulnerability felt real, her pain palpable. We spent hours in the virtual woods that night, not just completing the quest, but talking, sharing, connecting in a way I hadn't connected with someone in a long time. I found myself drawn to her openness, her honesty. She seemed to appreciate my listening ear, my understanding. As the night wore on, the lines between the game and reality began to blur. I started looking forward to logging in, not just for the thrill of the game, but for the chance to talk to Lyra, to hear her voice, to share a virtual adventure with her. A strange feeling was growing inside me, a feeling I couldn't quite define. It was a connection, a bond forged in the digital fires of ethereal kingdoms. The days that followed were a whirlwind of virtual encounters. Lyra and I explored new areas of the game, conquered challenging dungeons, and even participated in a large-scale raid against a powerful dragon. Our in-game adventures mirrored a growing emotional intimacy. We shared stories about our lives, our dreams, our fears. She told me about her love for old movies, her passion for cooking, her dream of traveling the world. I, in turn, shared my own passions, my love for classic literature, my fascination with astronomy. The more we talked, the more I felt like I was getting to know her, the real her, beyond the avatar she controlled. One evening, while we were discussing our favorite gemstones, Lyra mentioned a specific piece of jewelry she always wore. "It's a necklace," she said. "A gift from my husband. It has a unique pendant, a silver crescent moon with a small sapphire embedded in the center." My blood ran cold. I recognized the description instantly. It was the necklace I had given Sarah for our 5th anniversary. A wave of disbelief washed over me, followed by a sickening knot of dread in my stomach. Could it be? It seemed impossible, too bizarre to be true. But the details were undeniable. The necklace, the silver crescent moon, the sapphire. It was Sarah's necklace. The realization hit me like a physical blow. My mind raced, trying to process the impossible. Was it some kind of elaborate coincidence? Or was Lyra, Sarah? The thought was absurd, preposterous. Yet the evidence was mounting. I had to know for sure. With trembling fingers, I typed a message to Lyra, feigning casual curiosity. So, I wrote, "What's your real name, anyway? I mean, if you don't mind me asking." I held my breath, waiting for her response. The seconds stretched into an eternity. Finally, the reply came. "It's Sarah," she typed. The world seemed to tilt on its axis. It was her. My wife. The woman who shared my bed, my life, my home, was the same woman who had been pouring her heart out to me in this virtual world, complaining about her distant, uncaring husband. The irony was cruel, a twisted joke of fate. I felt a surge of anger, a burning rage that threatened to consume me. But I couldn't let her know, not yet. I had to maintain my composure, keep playing the game until I could figure out what to do. The betrayal cut deeper than any physical wound. It wasn't just the infidelity. It was the elaborate deception, the calculated manipulation. Sarah hadn't just cheated on me. She had created an entire persona, a virtual identity, to confide in me, to extract my emotional support, all while mocking me in the real world. She had used our shared hobby, the one thing we enjoyed together, as a weapon against me. The thought of her laughing with her friends about her boring gamer husband, while simultaneously pouring her heart out to him in the game, pretending to be someone else, made my stomach churn. The rage I felt was unlike anything I had ever experienced. It was a cold, simmering anger, a quiet fury that burned with a slow, steady intensity. I wanted to lash out, to confront her, to scream and shout and let her know how much she had hurt me. But I knew that wouldn't accomplish anything. She had proven herself to be a master of deception, and I knew that a direct confrontation would only allow her to twist the narrative, to play the victim, to somehow make me the villain. No, my revenge had to be more subtle, more calculated. It had to be as intricate and devastating as her betrayal. I knew I couldn't let on that I knew. I had to maintain the charade, keep playing the role of the oblivious husband, the unsuspecting gamer. It was a difficult task, acting normal, pretending that everything was fine, while inside I was seething with anger and hurt. Every smile from Sarah felt like a dagger to the heart. Every casual touch, every seemingly innocent conversation, was a reminder of her duplicity. I forced myself to act affectionate, to play the loving husband, even though it felt like a betrayal of myself. I knew I had to gain her trust, lull her into a false sense of security. She had to believe that she had gotten away with it, that her secret was safe. Only then could I unleash my plan. I started observing her more closely, studying her habits, her routines. I needed to understand her motivations, her weaknesses. I needed to know what made her tick, so I could find the perfect way to unravel her. I began to formulate a plan, a strategy that would not only expose her betrayal, but also make her understand the depth of her actions. It wouldn't be quick and it wouldn't be easy, but it would be thorough and it would be devastating. I continued to play ethereal kingdoms with Sarah, feigning ignorance of her online persona. I even acted more affectionate in real life, bringing her flowers, taking her out to dinner, doing all the things a loving husband would do. She seemed to appreciate the extra attention, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath the surface. She became more relaxed, more confident, believing that she had successfully pulled the wool over my eyes. This only fueled my anger. The more she thought she had won, the more determined I became to make her pay. I knew I needed to be patient, to play the long game. My revenge had to be meticulously planned, perfectly executed. It had to be something she would never forget. I spent hours thinking about it, analyzing the situation, looking for the perfect angle. I considered various options, each more elaborate and cruel than the last. I knew I was walking a dangerous line, that the desire for revenge could easily consume me. But I couldn't let it go. I had to do this not just for myself, but for the sanctity of our marriage, for the trust she had so carelessly shattered. The plan began to take shape in my mind, a dark reflection of Sarah's own deception. I decided to fight fire with fire, betrayal with betrayal. I created a new character in ethereal kingdoms, a mysterious figure shrouded in shadow. I named him Nemesis, a fitting title for the instrument of my revenge. Nemesis was an assassin, a master of stealth and subterfuge. I meticulously crafted his appearance, choosing dark armor, a menacing mask, and weapons that whispered of death. I practiced with the new character, honing my skills, learning the intricacies of his abilities. I needed to be as proficient with Nemesis as I was with Shadowbane. Then I began to interact with Sarah's character, Lyra. I started subtly, offering assistance in battles, sharing rare items, dropping hints of my knowledge and power. I played the role of the enigmatic benefactor, the silent guardian, always there to lend a helping hand, always lurking in the shadows. Sarah, ever the opportunist, was drawn to Nemesis's power and mystique. She began to confide in him, just as she had confided in Shadowbane. She told him about her boring husband, her unhappy marriage, her desire for something more. I listened patiently, feeding her ego, encouraging her fantasies. I was weaving a web of deceit, a mirror image of the one she had spun around me. Nemesis became Lyra's constant companion, her virtual confidant. He showered her with gifts, rare items that enhanced her character's power and prestige. He helped her level up, guiding her through challenging quests and dungeons. He became her protector, her champion, her virtual knight in shining armor. Sarah, blinded by her infatuation with Nemesis, readily accepted his generosity and support. She reveled in the attention, the admiration, the sense of importance he bestowed upon her. She had no idea that the man behind the mask, the one she was growing closer to, was the same man she was betraying in real life. The irony was delicious, a twisted symphony of deception. I watched as she fell deeper into the trap, her trust in Nemesis growing with each passing day. She shared her secrets with him, her dreams, her desires. She spoke of leaving her husband, of starting a new life with Nemesis, a life free from the constraints of her boring reality. I listened, my heart filled with a mixture of anger and satisfaction. The plan was working. She was falling for the same trick, the same manipulation that she had used on me. The tables were turning, and I was the one pulling the strings. With Sarah's trust firmly established, I began to subtly manipulate her, planting seeds of discontent in her mind. As Nemesis, I would casually mention how unhappy she seemed in her real life, how her husband didn't appreciate her, how she deserved someone who truly understood her. I painted a picture of a perfect life with Nemesis, a life filled with adventure, excitement, and passion. I described exotic locations they could visit together in the game, powerful artifacts they could acquire, legendary quests they could conquer side by side. I appealed to her desire for escape, her yearning for something more than her mundane reality. I offered her a fantasy, a virtual paradise where she could be anyone she wanted, do anything she desired. Sarah, already disillusioned with her marriage and captivated by Nemesis's charm, was easily swayed. She began to see her real life as a burden, an obstacle to her happiness. She started spending more and more time in the game, neglecting her responsibilities, withdrawing from her friends and family. I watched her transformation with a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction because my plan was working, sadness because the woman I loved was losing herself in a world of illusions. But I couldn't afford to feel sorry for her. She had made her choices, and now she had to face the consequences. Encouraged by Nemesis's words and the allure of their virtual world, Sarah started making plans to leave me. She began subtly distancing herself, making excuses to avoid spending time with me. She would stay up late at night, whispering on the phone with friends, her face illuminated by the cold glow of the screen. I knew she was talking to Nemesis, making arrangements for their virtual elopement, their escape from reality. The thought of her planning her departure with the very person she had betrayed me with filled me with a bitter satisfaction. She was walking into my trap willingly and blindly. I continued to play along, feigning ignorance of her plans. I even offered to give her some space, suggesting she take a weekend trip with her friends to relax and recharge. She readily agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to finalize her plans with Nemesis. I watched her pack her bags, a hollow ache in my chest. She was leaving me, but not for another man. She was leaving me for a fantasy, an illusion, a digital ghost. And I, the man she had vowed to love and cherish, was the architect of her downfall. The day finally came when Sarah was supposed to leave. I watched her drive away, her car disappearing down the street, a symbol of our crumbling marriage. As soon as she was gone, I logged into ethereal kingdoms. I had a final act to play, a final scene to orchestrate. As Nemesis, I contacted Lyra, arranging a meeting in a secluded part of the virtual world. I chose a place called the Forgotten Sanctuary, a desolate, eerie location shrouded in mist and shadows. When Lyra arrived, she seemed excited, eager to embark on their new life together. She had no idea what awaited her. I let her speak first, pouring out her heart, expressing her love for Nemesis, her gratitude for his support, her excitement for their future. I listened patiently, savoring the moment, the culmination of my elaborate plan. Then I dropped the bomb. Lyra, I typed, my fingers trembling with a mixture of anger and anticipation. I have something to tell you. I am not who you think I am. Her response was immediate, filled with confusion and concern. What do you mean, Nemesis? What's going on? I am your husband, I replied, the words appearing on the screen like a death sentence. Silence. A long, agonizing silence. Then the floodgates opened. Sarah's reaction was a mixture of shock, disbelief, and horror. She bombarded me with questions, accusations. Please. How? Why? What are you doing? She typed frantically. I explained everything. I told her how I had discovered her secret, how I had created Nemesis to expose her, how I had manipulated her into leaving me. The realization of her double betrayal, the extent of my deception, hit her like a tidal wave. She had been played, used, manipulated by the very person she thought she could trust. She tried to defend herself, to justify her actions, but her words rang hollow. She knew she had been caught, exposed, defeated. She begged for forgiveness, pleaded for another chance, but it was too late. The damage had been done, the trust irrevocably broken. She was trapped, both in the game and in reality. She had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The illusion she had built around herself had shattered, leaving her exposed and vulnerable. She had lost everything. Her husband, her lover, her fantasy, her pride. I watched as Sarah's character, Lyra, stood frozen in the forgotten sanctuary, her virtual body trembling with fear and shame. I felt a surge of conflicting emotions. Anger, sadness, pity, and a strange sense of satisfaction. I logged out of the game as Nemesis and logged back in as Shadowbane, my original character. I appeared beside Lyra, my virtual sword gleaming in the dim light. Sarah, seeing her husband's character standing beside her betrayer, finally understood the full extent of my revenge. I had not only exposed her, but I had also taken control of her fantasy, her escape, her virtual world. With a few clicks of the mouse, I initiated a trade with Lyra. I offered her all of Nemesis's possessions. His powerful weapons, his rare armor, his valuable artifacts. She accepted the trade, her virtual hands trembling as she transferred the items to her inventory. Then I did the unthinkable. As Shadowbane, I attacked Lyra, my virtual sword piercing her virtual heart. She didn't fight back. She just stood there, accepting her fate, her virtual body dissolving into pixels as her life points drained away. I had deleted her character, erasing her from the game, the world she had sought refuge in, the world where she had betrayed me. I logged out of the game, leaving Sarah in the real world to face the consequences of her actions, a chilling echo of her virtual demise. I had taken my revenge, but at what cost? Had justice been served, or had I become the very monster I sought to punish? The line between the virtual and the real had blurred, and I was left wondering if I had truly won, or if I had simply lost myself in the process.